Okay, so today we're looking at a transcript from a Chicks on the Right video. It's their commentary on the whole Candace Owens and Erika situation at Turning Point USA.
Right. And our goal here isn't about the politics of it, but how you turn a raw, emotional reaction into a really solid, persuasive critique.
Exactly. Moving from a rant to a review, basically.
That's a good way to put it. One feels good to do, the other actually changes minds.
So let's start with the first thing that really jumps out, which is the structure, specifically the commercial integration.
Oh, the ad for Beam. Yeah.
I mean, we go from this incredibly heavy discussion about grief and betrayal.
I had to rewind it. To be honest, I thought my player skipped ahead or something. It's jarring.
Walk us through what's happening there. Nation of a husband, the stakes are like at a 10.
A 10, easily. And then with literally no transition, no breath, it pivots to a sales pitch for a creatine powder for gym bros.
It's just complete tonal whiplash.
It's more than that, I think. It's almost like a breach of contract with the audience. You've just spent 5 minutes selling us on your indignation, on this woman's pain.
Right.
And then in the next breath, it's, anyway, buy this powder. It's tasteless. It makes the grief and their reaction to it feel, well, performative.
But I want to push on that a little. This is how podcasts work, right? They have sponsors, they have bills to pay. If Beam paid for a mid-roll, they have to run a mid-roll.
Oh, 100%. I'm not saying don't run ads. What I'm saying is you have to treat that ad placement like a loaded weapon. You have to be so careful where you point it. The problem isn't the ad's existence. It's the total lack of insulation around it.
So how do you fix it? If the contract says it has to be there, in the middle.
You have to build a wall, a hard break, we call it. You can't just slide into it.
The script says they use this line, you guys, my superpower app told me.
Which is such a flimsy bridge, you know? It just collapses under the weight of the tragedy they were just discussing.
It feels like an attempt to be clever so you don't skip the ad. But instead, it cheapens the actual content.
That is the trade-off. If you have to put it there, you need a sound effect, a sting, or even just 3 seconds of total silence, a chapter mark.
Signal to the audience.
You signal to the audience, okay, editorial analysis is pausing, commercial break is starting. It might sound a bit formal, but it's actually respectful. It tells them, we get that this is serious, so we aren't going to mix the funeral talk with the discount code.
I see. And what about the ad copy itself, the tone of it? It's all do it, do it.
Yeah, that's the other half of it. You can't come out of a segment about a widow and use your high-energy morning zoo DJ voice.
So you modulate.
You have to. A simple intro line does all the work. We're going to take a brief pause to thank the sponsors who allow us to have these conversations. Something like that. It just lowers the temperature before you start the pitch.
It's amazing how a small logistical choice like that can completely change whether I trust the person speaking.
Because trust is everything. If I think your outrage is just a runway for a coupon code, shopbeam.com chicks, then I stop believing in the outrage itself.
Let's follow that idea of trust into the rhetoric, I guess. The feedback flagged a big issue with how they go after Candace Owens. The insults.
Oh, yeah. Full of is putting it mild. I mean, we've got absolute C-word, evil, queen of gaslighting.
And telling the leaker to go suck it.
Right.
Now, again, to play devil's advocate, this is a reaction channel. Their audience probably expects that. They tune in for the heat. Isn't that just authenticity?
I think there's a fine line between authenticity and just pure vitriol. Showing your anger is authentic, but weaponizing it in a way that actually kills your argument, that's different.
How does it kill the argument?
The second you use the C word, you're not in a critique anymore. You're in a schoolyard fight.
You're giving her an easy way out.
A get-out-of-jail-free card. If I'm Candace Owens, I don't have to engage with any of the substance. I don't have to talk about TPUSA or hypocrisy.
All you have to do is point and say, look at these hateful people.
Look at how they talk. And she wins. The neutral listener, the person who's actually on the fence, they hear that language and they just recoil. They think, okay, these hosts are just bullies.
So the anger, ironically, ends up gutting the authority of their own point.
It completely obliterates it. The whole point of a critique should be to dismantle an argument, not just attack a person's character.
Okay, but they clearly feel she's behaving badly. How are they supposed to express that judgment without the name calling? The feedback mentions show, don't tell.
Show, don't tell is the absolute golden rule for this kind of. Don't just tell me she's the queen of projection. Show me the projection.
So give me a concrete example from the text. How would you do it?
Okay, so they have two key pieces of evidence. One, Candace slams Erika for acting like a CEO and chairman too soon after her husband's death, implying she should be in mourning, not working.
Right.
2, Candace herself is on video promoting her own website and talking about donation numbers just 9 days after the same event.
That's a pretty damning contradiction.
It's devastating. You don't need to call her a name. You don't need any adjectives. You just play clip A, then you play clip B, and then you just let the silence do the work.
Let the audience connect the dots.
The audience will get to, wow, what a hypocrite, all by themselves. And when they reach that conclusion on their own, they believe it 10 times more than if you just scream it at them.
It's the difference between building a case and just shouting a verdict.
That's a great way to put it. Shouting a verdict. And the same thing applies to that "go suck it" comment aimed at the...
It just sounds so juvenile.
It sounds like a junior high locker room, and it makes the offense seem trivial. Leaking a private meeting during a crisis is a major ethical breach. There are NDAs, there's trust, corporate stability.
So instead of suck it, what's the more powerful line?
You explain the actual damage. You say, this employee violated the privacy of a team in mourning, and in doing so, they destabilized the company at its most vulnerable moment. That frames the leaker as an actual villain, not just some person who annoyed the hosts. It elevates the whole conversation.
Which brings us to the third point, which is focus. We just talked about how insults can be a distraction, but the hosts also spend a ton of time just mocking Candace's pronunciation.
Ah, the debacle section. Yes.
Right. There's apparently a whole montage of her saying debacle wrong and struggling with compartmentalize.
This is what I'd call low-hanging fruit. And to be honest, it's probably rotten fruit.
Why? Isn't it just a bit of levity, a bit of fun?
It just feels petty. Think about the context. We're supposedly talking about the exploitation of a tragedy, about a major power struggle.
Okay.
When you stop that incredibly serious conversation to giggle because someone stumbled over a 5-syllable word, you're telling the audience that you don't really take this that seriously.
It lowers the stakes of the whole thing.
Dramatically. And it creates this boy who cried wolf problem. If you make a huge deal out of a mispronunciation, why should I believe you when you say the double bind argument is a huge deal? You're treating everything with the same level of trivial mockery.
And speaking of that double bind, the feedback suggests that was their strongest point, but it got totally buried.
It was buried alive under the pronunciation jokes. The text references Nathan at Milk Bar TV, who pointed out this damned if you do, damned if you don't trap.
Right, where Candace first said Erika was too emotional to be a leader.
And then when Erika was composed in a video, she was criticized for being too stiff and acting like a CEO.
That's the real smoking gun.
That is checkmate. That is the argument that proves malice. It proves there was no right answer for Erika. If you're writing this critique, you cut the debacle montage completely, and you spend 5 minutes just dissecting that one point. That's the whole show, right there.
But creators keep that stuff in because they think it's funny, right? It breaks the tension.
It breaks the tension, but it also breaks the argument's momentum. If you want to use a visual observation, pick one that actually supports your thesis. The text mentions Candace has a photo of herself as her desktop background.
Which is kind of funny, but does it matter?
It does if your core argument is about narcissism. If you're trying to build a case that she makes everything about herself, then pointing out that she literally stares at her own face all day, that's relevant evidence.
It's a psychological observation.
Exactly. It's not just, haha, she looks funny. It's, this visual detail confirms the psychological profile we're presenting. That's a valid point. Mocking how someone talks is just bullying.
Okay, let's move to the last piece of this puzzle, which is the delivery itself, the verbal precision. The feedback noted that the script is just full of filler words.
Oh, yeah. It's giving. Crazy work. It's all over the place.
Is that just how people talk on the internet now? Is it a generational thing?
It's how people talk in a casual, unplanned conversation. It's how you talk when you're processing things in real time. But this is meant to be a prepared piece of commentary.
Right?
When you lean on phrases like, it's giving evil, or that is crazy work, you're using you're making the listener do the work of figuring out what you actually mean.
It sounds lazy.
It sounds unsynthesized, like a first draft of a thought. If I just say, she just gets worse. I haven't actually said anything. I'm just expressing annoyance. The audience wants an insight, not just a shared vibe.
So what's the fix? The feedback said to swap slang for more precise words.
Let's take that crazy work line. The host literally says, that is crazy work. As adjectives, I don't know, that's crazy work. They're admitting they don't have the word.
So give them the words. What should have been said there?
Instead of, that is crazy work. How about describing oneself as blessed and honored in the aftermath of a murder is incongruous and jarring?
Incongruous and jarring? Okay, yeah, that actually explains why it feels so off.
Exactly. It gives the listener the vocabulary to understand their own reaction. That's the job of a good critic, to put words to a feeling.
There was another one about how they described Erika's video. They said it was perfectly fine. Completely behave.
Completely behave. It sounds like you're talking about a golden retriever. She sat still and didn't bark. It's honestly a little patronizing, even if they don't mean it to be.
So what's the upgrade?
How about it was a demonstration of professional resilience in the midst of a personal tragedy?
That sounds like you're talking about a leader.
And that's the whole point of their argument. If your goal is to defend Erika as a competent CEO, then describe her actions using the language of a CEO. The words you choose create the frame. Weak words create a weak frame.
So to bring this all together, we're looking at 4 main pillars to really elevate this piece.
It really all comes down to being more intentional.
First, the commercial integration. It's not about killing the ads. It's about building a wall around them to protect the tone.
Right. Respect the gravity of your own topic.
Second, credibility over insults. You swap the name calling for cold, hard evidence of the hypocrisy.
Show the receipts. Don't just shout your opinion.
Third, focus. Cut the petty stuff, the mocking of pronunciation, and give all that airtime to your strongest logical point, like that double bind argument.
Don't let the cheap jokes get in the way of the killer argument.
And finally, verbal precision. Just moving from that stream of consciousness slang to more synthesized analytical language.
You have to turn the vibes into vocabulary. That's ultimately how you persuade people.
The passion is there in the original piece, and the instincts are mostly right. It just needs that layer of polish to make it truly effective. We'd love to see it reworked with these ideas.
Absolutely. Take another pass, sharpen the language, clean up those transitions. I think this could be a really powerful piece of commentary if they just clear away some of the clutter.
We look forward to seeing the revision. Until then, keep writing.